For the last couple decades, the number one way that people are getting their guns stolen from them, and it's a very foolish way, is thieves are targeting people at places that they know they can't bring their guns in, places like arenas. And then they're driving around and they're looking for signs that there might be a gun in that car. Things like stickers on the car that say protected by Smith & Wesson or have a little family of guns on there. And then they're just going to break in and they're going to steal your guns. Other identifying things are things like hunting stuff. This is something I'm guilty of, is leaving blaze orange vests in my truck. It typically shows a thief that there's probably a gun in that car. But regardless of how they're targeting cars, because sometimes thieves just break into cars and they stumble across guns as they do it because they're breaking into cars in neighborhoods and that sort of thing. Literally millions and millions of guns every single year stolen out of cars. And I have argued, I understand that there's times where you need to leave your guns in the car, but have them locked in a safe. It is so easy to buy a safe that you can mount to the structure of the vehicle and your gun doesn't get stolen. Well, as it turns out, there's a peculiar law that took effect January 1st in Colorado, and I believe it's going to apply to a long list of states as well, because they're going to kind of plug that same theory in existing laws. But right now in Colorado, if you're going to leave your gun in the car, you have to have it locked in a locking container of some sort. Now, one might argue, I still think that's foolish because they could just steal your locking container out of your car. But mount it to the car. Again, I'll go back to that. But this is now a law in Colorado. Now, there's additional states that we can add to this list that have laws that if you're traveling through that state, that you will have to have your gun in a locked container. In several of these states, I know there's a lot of variables that apply here. Like I know the Castle Doctrine plugs. I know there's so many variables. And coming from the state of Missouri, I would argue that's very much not okay for them to do that, but they do that anyway. And they require that you travel with a gun locked in a container if you're going to be passing through those states. And I believe these states are going to apply this because if it has to be locked when you're driving, they're certainly going to expect it to be locked away when you're parked. And that list would be New York, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, DC, Illinois, and California. Now, apparently, Colorado. Now, Colorado is the first to come up with kind of this unique, it has to be locked if you have it parked in an actual locked container, some sort of gun safe, gun case that locks. And the description that they're going to give when you look at the law is going to revolve around the same thing you'd have to lock a gun in if you traveled in an airplane. The same thing. If you travel on an airline and you check a gun and you check it, it's going to have to be in a locked container. And that's going to fit the same category what Colorado now expects, as well as really what these other states are going to expect you to do with your gun in your car. Now, again, I'm going to lean back to, I don't believe it should be the law, but we should not be idiots about this. You should definitely be locking your gun in a locked container. I already strongly believe that the United States is very much a policed state where there's too many rules and laws already, but we could not be foolish about it. We could actually be wise and responsible gun carriers. And if you're going to leave your gun in the car, lock it in a safe. I got some links for some safes below that, I put these in my cars in the past and they're fantastic. They definitely serve the purpose. There's a gigantic list of other safes. There's safes that'll drop down for you if you need it in a quick hurry. Like, just get a safe for your car if you're going to carry, because inevitably you're going to run into a moment in time where you pull into a parking lot of a place you cannot carry your gun in. And in that moment in time, you have a couple options. I think at the very least, lock it in your glove box at the very least. But apparently, if you're in Colorado and New York, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, DC, Illinois, and California, it has to be in a locked container. So there you go. Love to know your thoughts on all this. It's kind of a strange new law, but honestly, the sheer volume of stolen guns out of cars in America, just as a gun owner myself, makes me think that there's a lot of stupid gun owners out there, a lot of really, really stupid gun owners who are being incredibly irresponsible with their guns. Should there be a law against stupidity? No, not at all, but we should wisen up. Get a safe for your car. Don't get your gun stolen. Most crimes are committed with stolen guns. So eventually that gun's probably going to find its way back to you with a knock on the door from the ATF wondering what happened to your gun and why it ended up in a crime scene 5 states away. So just lock your gun in your car, man. Don't be a fool. And apparently if you're in these states, apparently you don't have a choice, but if you're in a state like mine, I'm still going to say, lock it, lock that darn thing away. So there you go. Again, any thoughts or insight on this, definitely put it below. I do want to take a moment and say that most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. It's free. Links below. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. But by far the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that stuff in. And I'd also like to take a moment and say that if you're a praying person, look through the comments, because there's been some pretty heavy prayer requests coming through lately that could really use some good praying men and women. Just check it out. If you see it and you pray for that person, click that thumbs up button or whatever. But if you're a praying person, there's some pretty heavy stuff in there. Take a look. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.